There's absolutely no denying the role Steve Jobs played in shaping our tech world today. A minded perfectionist, Steve Jobs had a vision of changing the world through technology. In this best-selling biography, you'll learn that while perfectionism and desire drove Jobs to achieve greatness, it was his personality that was the cause of discord and conflict. In his relationships with employees and co-workers, Jobs' behavior was often viewed as highly offensive, although he frequently argued that he was simply trying to motivate his employees to achieve success. Get what's best. There's absolutely no denying the role Steve Jobs played in shaping our tech world today. A minded perfectionist, Steve Jobs had a vision of changing the world through technology. In this best-selling biography, you'll learn that while perfectionism and desire drove Jobs to achieve greatness, it was his personality that was the cause of discord and conflict. In his relationships with employees and co-workers, Jobs' behavior was often viewed as highly offensive, although he frequently argued that he was simply trying to motivate his employees to achieve success. Get what's best. By the late 1960s, cultural interest and curiosity among computer geeks and hippie lifestyles had begun to overlap. So perhaps, in addition to his fascination with math, science, and electronics, Jobs immersed himself in cross-culturalism and started taking LSD. Jobs later demonstrated a refined aesthetic sense and intense focus on experiences with hallucinogenic drugs. In 1972, Jobs enrolled at Reed College, a libertarian private school in Oregon, and since then both thinking and using LSD with friends has become serious. Jobs felt that taking these drugs reinforced his sense of the important things in life, by showing there is no flip side of the coin. For Jobs, creating great things was more important than anything else. Eager to explore the spiritual culture of the East, Jobs even went to India, where he stayed for 7 months. Buddhism in particular became an important part of his personality, influencing his minimalist aesthetic and exposing him to the power of intuition. Both interests, LSD and spirituality, helped develop a steady focus, what has come to be known as Jobs' reality-distorting expertise. What if he had decided what should have happened? Then he made it happen simply by bending reality with his will. Another factor that shaped Jobs' minimalist aesthetic was his devotion to art. Throughout his career, Jobs emphasized many times that Apple products should be neat and simple. This idea was formed during my college years. Despite dropping out of his studies, Jobs was allowed to continue taking classes, which he did solely for the purpose of enriching himself. One of them was a calligraphy class, his skill in which later became a key element of the Apple Mac's graphical user interface. It seems like a strange combination, a spiritual person, fond of LSD, and a background in the computer industry. In the early 1970s, many people began to see computers as symbols of personal expression. When Jobs was hooked on ecstasy and Zen, he dreamed of starting his own business. And around the same time, his friend Steve Wozniak got the idea for the modern personal computer. In the early days of Silicon Valley's technological revolution, Steve Wozniak joined the Homebrew Computer Club, a place where computer geeks meet to exchange ideas and where opposites go tradition, combined with technology becomes the perfect thing. It was also here that Steve Wozniak got his idea. Computers at that time needed many separate hardware devices to operate, making management and use extremely complicated. Wozniak envisions a device as a self-contained package with an all-in-one keyboard, computer, and monitor. At first, Wozniak hesitated to make his design available to everyone for free, which is also a homebrew tradition. However, Jobs insisted that they should profit from Wozniak's invention. So in 1976, with just $1,300 starting a business, Jobs and Wozniak founded the Apple Computer Company. On the day they came up with the name, Jobs visited an apple farm, and because it's so simple, fun, and relatable, the name Apple was born. Jobs and Wozniak worked extremely hard for a month to build 100 computers by hand. Half of it was sold to a local computer dealer, and the other half went to friends and other customers. After just 30 days, Apple's first computer, the Apple I, turned a profit. Jobs and Wozniak made a very strong team. Wozniak was a tech wizard, and Jobs was a visionary who saw the world-changing potential of the personal computer. Those who know Jobs will agree that he is a dominant and exceptionally capricious personality. If the work does not meet the standards, he will get angry and may scold others. But why did Jobs have such a bad temper? In short, he is a very perfectionist. Jobs wanted the Apple II to be the perfect design, fully equipped and integrated with everything. But when the Apple II team made it a success when it was released in 1977, it also drained people of energy and spirit. If Jobs felt that an employee's job was bad, he would tell them it was a pile of rubbish, and that things would become extremely serious if he found even a small mistake. As Apple grew stronger, Jobs became increasingly erratic. Mike Scott was even appointed as Apple's director, with the main task of curbing that temper of Jobs. Scott essentially confronts Jobs about issues other employees don't have the energy to do. This often led to disagreements, sometimes even bringing Jobs to tears because he felt that giving up control of Apple was really difficult. Jobs felt extremely frustrated when Scott tried to put limits on his perfectionism. For his part, Scott didn't want Jobs' perfectionism to rise above pragmatism. For example, Scott intervened when Jobs thought that none of the nearly 2,000 shades of gray were good enough for the Apple II, and similarly when Jobs spent days just deciding how the computer's corners should be rounded. Anyway, Scott just focused on making and selling them. However, because the company is still running smoothly, these personalities are still manageable. But as you will see later, this is not the end. The Apple II, with about 6 million copies sold, is seen as the spark that led to the birth of the personal computer industry. But for Jobs, it was not a complete success because the Apple II was Wozniak's masterpiece, not his. Jobs wanted to create a machine that could, in his words, create a pattern in the universe. Driven by this ambition, Jobs began working on the Macintosh, a successor to the Apple II that would change the look of the personal computer and make him a technology icon. However, the Macintosh was not Jobs' invention, because Jobs actually stole the Macintosh project from its creator, Jeff Raskin, a computer interface expert. Jobs took this idea and built a machine that ran on a microprocessor powerful enough to accommodate sophisticated graphics, and could be controlled with a mouse. The Macintosh became an unprecedented achievement, thanks in part to a lavish promotional campaign that included a sensational TV commercial, now known as the 1984 commercial, directed by Mr. Hollywood filmmaker Ridley Scott. Attached to the popularity of commerce, the Macintosh set off a chain reaction in the community with Jobs as well as with the product. With inherent ingenuity, Jobs succeeded in giving high-profile interviews to a number of prominent magazines by manipulating journalists into thinking that he was giving them exclusive interviews. His strategy worked, and the Macintosh made Jobs rich and famous. He became such a celebrity that he was able to invite singer Ella Fitzgerald to perform at his splendid 30th birthday party. However, the same personality that helped Jobs create success for the Macintosh also got him fired. Jobs' perfectionism and repressive attitude toward Apple employees did not diminish. He would constantly call people assholes if they weren't focused on perfection. Those attitudes and expressions of Jobs drained the patience of the company's leadership. And in 1985, they decided to fire Jobs.